Good evening, fashionistas, and welcome to your weekly fashion news update where I'll be bringing you all the buzz from the catwalk right to your screen. Now, consumers beware, because these products not only cause a risk to your wallet, but also to your skin. There is an alarming trend of fake luxury skincare and beauty products now popping up on Shein. Speaking of Shein, the fast fashion brand is now wanting to expand into the luxury to become the next Amazon or maybe even AliExpress. But what does this mean for the world of fashion and also sustainability? Because that is a big issue with Shein. Event of the year is just around the corner. Of course, I am talking about the amazing, the show-stopping Met Gala that is happening on Monday, May 6, 2024. We know 2024's theme is Sleeping Beauty, with the dress code being Garden of Time. So expectations are high for some jaw-dropping moments. We are on the edge of our seat to see what our favorite celebrities and designers are going to show us on that carpet. Known for his bold and fearless design, in a stunning comeback, Dapper is reclaiming his throne in the world of luxury fashion. The icon of streetwear is making a name for herself once again. Stay tuned as we follow his journey back to the top. Meanwhile, Ralph Lauren is staying true to their roots with a show that embodies minimalism and, of course, stealth wealth. The focus on timeless elegance and understated luxury, Ralph Lauren keeps true to the trends of the season right now. And finally, we turn our attention to the Kentucky Derby, which just happened this past weekend. This star-studded event exhibits everything from extravagant hats, which it's very well known for, to elegant dresses. We're gonna explore some of the highlights from the Kentucky Derby, of course. I'm Maria, and this is your fashion news flash. Of course, my channel is your go-to for everything fashion, a little bit of reviews, and of course, commentary. So if you're into anything like that, don't forget to subscribe. So Shein has been pitching big brands in order to bring it to its marketplace. Their aim is to turn into like an Amazon or an AliExpress, moving a little bit away from the fashion space, or at least incorporating more things in the fashion space. As you may know, they've been in trouble for a lot of sustainability regulations that they failed to meet across the board, especially with the EU tightening when it comes to sustainability, right? So in order to survive, or maybe in order to adapt, the move is to pitch to these big brands. And what's been happening, actually, in case you haven't heard, there's been a high amount of fake luxury skincare and beauty product popping up on Shein recently.
Makeup ranging from anywhere from £2 to £11 or £50 if you want like a PR kit kind of situation. Estee Lauder, Creme de la Mer, Laneige, NARS on Shein at the regular price.
And I don't know if I would have to tell anybody this, but I don't think when it comes to skin and beauty, that's not the space I think you should play around with. So Shein has pitched to Colgate-Palmolive, Hasbro, in an attempt to reach out to those different niches and pull them into their own marketplace, according to Reuters. The thing is, Shein has a reputation, and their reputation is fast fashion and obviously not sustainability. So these companies that are luxury companies thrive on the image of not only exclusivity, but the idea that what you're buying from us is supposed to be luxury and good quality, and that's what you expect of the price point of what you're paying. So I think there is a contrast between the image that they currently have and the image that they want to have. Of course, it can be done over time. Shein is trying to find a way to survive. That's the means of any company. They are still doing very well, but they're not doing as well as they used to once upon a time, right? 2020, 2022 was an amazing time for Shein. They've now obviously partnered with Forever 21 so that they can expand as well with them. Shein is very popular with Gen Z and millennials, 80% of those shoppers being women, 20% being men. But they do have a market cornered, but the market wouldn't be the luxury market that they are currently trying to reach. Now, maybe they could do that with, like I said, Colgate products, maybe toothpaste, things of that sort could help them get to that next level. But the biggest thing is they are just not sustainable, and partner with someone like Forever 21 doesn't make you look sustainable or more sustainable, right? You're not making yourself look better by partnering with people who are not really keeping up with what you're trying to reach for. So it's discordant. It's not matching up with what they want to get. And I think that's what's really going to be the deciding factor into where they go to. That they could maybe be like an Amazon or AliExpress, absolutely, but I just think it might take more time. They give me more Temu vibes, so we'll keep an eye on that one. So in November 2023, Vogue announced the Met Gala's theme for 2024. That would be Sleeping Beauty's Reawakening Fashion. This theme actually this year makes more sense than some of the other themes. As I mentioned earlier, the dress code is The Garden of Time, which was inspired by a novel by J.G. Ballard. 2024 is more of a cerebral vibe, so I'm sure a lot of the celebrities can kind of make that work a little bit maybe better than the theme last year, which was Karl Lagerfeld's life. I mean, I guess that wasn't that hard. You could just like go into the archives of Karl Lagerfeld's work and just wear some of that, which is what people did. But I think the theme this year is maybe a bit more easier to imagine. We all heard the story time. We know of Sleeping Beauty. It's easier to imagine how to create or dress around this theme. I don't think it should be too hard. The theme is actually, and I'm going to be reading it here because I just literally can't remember everything. This is from page 6. Our tale follows a count and countess who live a life of luxury in a secluded villa. Beyond its walls, an approaching mob threatens to disturb their peace, but retreats every time the couple plucks a magical time flower from their garden.
But as the horde begins again and successfully breaks through the garden's walls and begins its descent onto the villa itself, two figures from inside a very high thorned bush look out over the garden. Stone figures that look exactly like the Count and Countess in their full outfits seem untouched by both natural elements like wind and rain, but also the horde because of the thorns that create a barrier. And well, the story ends with a look at a single rose with delicate petals that for only a moment blends in with the stone of the figures. Now, to be honest, upon first reading the story, I thought, didn't we just like do the Gilded Age thing? You know, we had that dress code that looked...
The theme very much echoes what's happening right now, which it's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out in the fashion because, of course, if it's talking about people in luxury high towers and a ticket costs $75,000, I think these are the people in the high towers, you know what I mean, that have created this secluded villa or secluded island around themselves. And it's kind of foreboding where it comes to the idea that what happens when time is up, when they don't have those things, when I guess eat the rich actually happens. I don't know if it actually happens soon, but I hope it does, but we'll see if that happens. But the tale is talking about what happens when the garden is out of flowers and the people descend on the villa, right? So I think it's very interesting that this is the theme this year. It's very much of the times. Whoever is picking the themes, obviously one is something that resonates with the average masses as well. Some of the other themes are a bit in the air, like conceptual, like camp and all of this stuff.
Then I realized the use of the story as inspiration more than likely has to do with the idea of repelling time, just as fashion conservators want to repel the elements that eventually corrode garments.
What are we raising all of this money for? Why does it cost $75,000? The money is to preserve fashion history and collection, is for the museum's extensive fashion collection. Yes, it is a cultural touch point, as I mentioned. If there had to be a way to do it, this is the way to do it. But yeah, that's what it's for. Celebrities that you see are not paying for their own ticket. They're invited as guests of brands and companies. So again, some do, but most celebrities on the red carpet with the creative director of the brand, and usually, you know, they come together because they're sponsored by that brand. Obviously, along Anna Wintour, who is the editor-in-chief for Vogue, Zendaya, Jennifer Lopez, Bad Bunny, and Chris Hemsworth are all co-chairs for the 2024 gala this year. So yeah, I am excited to see what, you know, who will be on the red carpet. Despite being sued and blackballed 30 years ago, Dapper Dan is making a comeback. In case you don't know who Dapper Dan is.
Okay, now let's talk about how this really went down. I went from refashioning fashion to have fashion refashion me.
He's referred to as the godfather of hip-hop fashion. He was the one that really made logomania what it is today. So you know how you see all like the Louis Vuitton like jackets, shirts, you know, all over. Like the idea logomania was popularized by Dapper Dan in the hip hop culture. So that's why he's the godfather of hip hop fashion. So back in the 80s, what Dapper Dan would do was he would take designer like label using designer logos and brands in his clothes. So it would incorporate logos like Fendi, Louis Vuitton, Gucci. We saw a lot of that with like celebrities in the hip hop culture wearing some of the stuff that he designed, and he would just put his name on it because, you know, he made it into something else slightly, but still using the logos of those companies. And that's where the trouble came from, you know? He became a cultural icon during this time though. But the thing is, in 1992, Fendi sued him for trade right infringement. Like, he is using their logos and stuff like that. So to literally make money. So as his empire grew in the 80s and then into the early 90s, Fendi obviously started to take notice, including all the other brands obviously, started to notice that, wait, okay, he's using our brands to make more money. And there is a thin line between fair use, which you can, everything's been made before, but you can use a certain artist's work to a certain degree. Now, what's the degree? It's different depending on the industry, but one thing that is apparent is you can't use somebody else's logo. That's a big no-no. So there was in 1992 a trademark infringement lawsuit that Fendi had against him. He did lose the lawsuit. That he was blackballed in the fashion industry altogether. But in 2017, something interesting happened because Gucci's creative director Alessandro Michele went into the archives and drew inspiration from Dapper Dan's work, which was actually a copyright infringement, I guess, version of Gucci's work, and referred to it as part of fashion archive and something that should be revered, right? And he actually did the work in having Dapper Dan recognized for his work in the fashion industry once again. So in 2017, things kind of took a turn for the better for him. And let's be real, Logomania is all a big credit to Dapper Dan. Do your history. He is a very pivotal part of fashion history, especially in the hip hop culture, which influences a lot of other subcultures, right? So the recognition that he got from Alessandro in 2017, in my opinion, was long overdue. I mean, the fact that it was blackballed, had to start working in the basement after being like at the height of his game for something that other people might have done and maybe been a slap on the wrist, is kind of insane. But it's glad to see Dapper Dan get the recognition he deserves. And yeah, I guess some good news for today. While Chanel stepped out of its comfort zone for its resort show, Ralph Lauren kind of gave us exactly what we expected. Of course, Ralph Lauren has always been known for its minimalism, and there's no time like the present for it to thrive. It is the era of minimalism, or what you would call recession core, but I like to say it is a time where we are returning to the closet basics. Is it always fun, exciting sometimes? No, but it is essentials that we can grow from. I don't think we should all stay in the closet basic phase. I think the closet basics are the essential foundations, but then you should have your own like style and personal taste layered on top of that. But I do think that this new collection is very beautiful, very something I would totally wear. I think it is very well tailored with a lot of flowy pieces, but again, closet neutrals, closet classics, beige, browns, grays. A lot of those deep, rich tones are really nice to see the ranges of, but overall, I do like the collection. I do think it is very much a classic Ralph Lauren look, but the textures and patterns that we see when it comes to some of the gold dresses or gold patterns or things of that nature makes it, you know, a little bit sparkle. We have some frayed aspects or fringe aspects, which is still tapping into some of that cowboy era that we're also in right now. We saw some of that happening with the Louis Vuitton show, the men's show. We've seen that happening obviously with Beyonce, like the era of the cowboy era in general. But we are in the cowboy era. So we're seeing a lot of that happening, not just on the runway, but also just like in the stores. And I'm sure the more you shop, you see a lot of fringes, a lot of cowboy textures, hats, things like that. Is it coincidental? Maybe, but is it the time? Sure, but it is the trend that we're seeing definitely right now. But yes, they do taps into some of the trends that are happening. I would say Ralph Lauren's collection really did that, but in an elegant, very classy, beautifully done way, very flowy. Like, it literally looks like moving metallic pieces on the body, and that is just amazing to look at. But yes, they did elegant in a very, very, very beautiful way. Very much Ralph Lauren, but they stick to their theme and they do it well. So let's get into the next topic. You may have heard of the Kentucky Derby, but probably in movies. That's how I learned about it myself the first time, which is this exclusive place where people would love to watch horse racing go to. They get dressed up in really fancy outfits. You see the extravagant hats. It kind of reminds you a lot of English or British culture with the hats as well. I would say there's a lot of parallels there, but it gives English tea while watching horses race around in a circle. Now the Kentucky Derby happens in Louisville, Kentucky. Lots of celebrities, distinguished people all over the world go to this event where they get to watch horses race around. They bet on these horses. 20 horses compete in the Derby every year. Those are the 20 horses that qualify to be able to run at this Derby. But people go there, they're able to bet on whichever horse they want. That's part of the culture of this. In my opinion, I would say the Kentucky Derby. The people who go there are like, I mean, not saying that you can't be young. Like, Alex Earl was there. She's younger, clearly. I'm just saying that, like, you know, it's more of like a distinguished class of people. Or maybe that's just the idea that they sell, but that's definitely the idea they give off, right? Just to see people in super extravagant outfits and how they piece things together. Again, the hats. Can I say hats one more time? Now, someone's outfit that was really boring, Jack Harlow. Beige or brown? Don't know what that was. Idea of what you may have of the Kentucky Derby is probably the hats. I think outside of watching the horses race, fashion watching is what you would go there to do. People go there to eat, drink, have a good time while looking good doing it. Well, that's all for Fashion News Flash for the week. Don't forget to comment some news that I may have missed or are very interesting to you. And until next time, bye.